Russia isn't collapsing. It's trapped. Right now, the Kremlin is spending enormous amounts of money just to keep the economy functioning, propping up banks, funding the war, supporting industry, and stabilizing the ruble. But here's the paradox. If Russia stops spending, the economy slows sharply, unemployment rises, and financial pressure explodes at home. And if Russia keeps spending, inflation stays high, interest rates remain painful, reserves shrink, and long-term growth quietly disappears. That's the dilemma Moscow is facing today. Because this isn't a stimulus anymore. It's survival spending. Every month, more money is required just to achieve the same result. Not growth, not prosperity, just stability. In this video, we're going to break down why Russia can't afford to stop spending, and why continuing to spend is slowly draining the system anyway. And once you see how this cycle works, you'll understand why Russia's biggest economic risk right now isn't collapse. It's stagnant under pressure. Imagine a country caught in a financial trap so deadly, it can't afford to fight its war, but it also can't afford to stop. This isn't a theoretical nightmare. This is Russia in 2026. For 3 years, the Kremlin has played a dangerous game, spending its way to economic collapse. They poured 16.7 trillion rubles into war, defying sanctions, boasting of resilience. But now, that gamble has exploded. The numbers are terrifying. The National Wealth Fund, Russia's rainy day savings, is on life support. Oil revenues are collapsing under Western pressure. Inflation is eating away at every ruble. And the only solutions left are to either slash military spending, which means losing the war, or print money at hyperinflationary levels, which means destroying the economy from within. Russia is caught in a financial catch-22. It literally can't afford to stop spending, and it can't afford to keep spending. And the choice they make will decide not just the war in Ukraine, but the very future of the Russian state. This is the story of how a superpower painted itself into an impossible economic corner. Let us start with the first half of the paradox. Why can't Russia simply hit the brakes on its war spending? The answer lies in the addiction to the military-industrial complex. For 3 years, the Kremlin has restructured its entire economy into a giant war machine. The 2026 budget confirms this. 38% of all state expenditures are now dedicated to national defense and internal security. That's 16.7 trillion rubles being pumped directly into factories, wages for soldiers, and the logistics of war. This created an illusion of growth. Manufacturing output surged. Unemployment hit record lows because millions of men were sent to the front, and a new class of war millionaires emerged. Cutting this spending now would cause an immediate, catastrophic domino effect. Mass unemployment. Millions of factory workers and returning soldiers would be jobless overnight. Economic contraction. The only sector driving Russia's distorted GDP would vanish, leading to a deep recession. Social unrest. A sudden stop would plunge hundreds of thousands into poverty, creating a fertile ground for discontent. The military-industrial complex isn't just a part of the economy, it is the economy. It's a job creation scheme, a social safety net, and a political stability mechanism, all rolled into one. Putin literally cannot pull the plug without risking widespread internal revolt. The system now depends on continuous, accelerating war spending. It's a financial treadmill running faster and faster, with no off switch. So, if they can't stop, why can't they just keep going? Because the money is running out, and the sources of that money are drying up faster than a desert river. The NWF was Russia's ultimate financial firewall. Built on years of oil profits, it was supposed to cushion any economic shocks. Today, it's a skeleton. Liquid assets have plummeted to barely 4 trillion rubles, a drop of nearly 60% since the war began. At the current rate, analysts project this fund, the last emergency reserve, could be effectively empty within 6 to 12 months. When that happens, Russia loses its ability to cover its budget deficits without resorting to truly desperate measures. Oil and gas revenues, the traditional lifeblood of the Russian budget, are in freefall. The G7 price cap, initially dismissed as ineffective, has become a relentless, invisible drain. In 2025, the Urals blend was trading at an average $18 discount to Brent crude. Add to that the massive costs of the shadow fleet and risky shipping, and Russia is effectively selling its finite resources at a loss relative to its war expenditure needs. For every barrel pumped, less and less usable revenue flows back to the Kremlin. It's like trying to fill a bathtub with a gaping hole in the bottom. The most damning evidence of the financial drain came in late 2025. Russia began selling its physical gold reserves, a move traditionally reserved for national emergencies or when all other options are exhausted. In November alone, nearly $1 billion worth of gold was shipped to China. This isn't just a transaction, it's a symbolic surrender. It proves Russia has exhausted its liquid financial reserves and is now literally converting its strategic metal into currency to keep the war machine fed. With the NWF draining and oil revenues shrinking, who pays the bill? The Russian people. On November 28, 2025, Putin signed the tax hike into law, effective January 1, 2026. This isn't just an adjustment. It's a direct transfer of the war's financial burden onto the backs of ordinary citizens. The VAT hike, the value-added tax, VAT, jumps from 20% to 22%. This is a hidden tax on everything: food, clothing, utilities. Every single transaction now contributes more directly to the war effort. Small business annihilation. The threshold for small businesses to pay VAT was drastically lowered. This will force thousands of small shops, cafes, and services, the backbone of local economies, to either raise prices, absorb the costs until bankruptcy, or simply close. The state is actively sacrificing its private sector. Soaring inflation. The central bank is desperately trying to control inflation with a punishing 16% interest rate, but the government's own spending and new taxes are making it impossible. Prices for essential goods continue to soar, eroding savings and pushing millions into poverty. This is the grim reality of the drain. The state is squeezing every last drop of financial liquidity from its citizens, creating a climate of quiet desperation and resentment. Russia is trapped. It cannot stop spending because its entire economy and political stability now depend on the war machine. But it also cannot keep spending because its reserves are depleted, its revenue sources are under siege, and its people are being bled dry by new taxes and inflation. The economic miracle was a mirage built on burning future prosperity for current military might. The Kremlin faces an impossible choice in 2026. Option 1. End the war. This would trigger a massive economic contraction, widespread unemployment, and potential social unrest. Option 2. Unleash the printing press. This would lead to hyperinflation, collapsing the ruble and destroying the purchasing power of every citizen. Neither option is politically survivable in the long term. Russia has reached the financial point of no return. The quiet draining has given way to a stark, impossible choice that will redefine not just the war in Ukraine, but the very future of the Russian Federation. This is the moment Russia's economic future is decided. But what does this mean for the war, and for China's role in propping up a crumbling giant? Click on the video on your screen right now, where we reveal Russia's economy. ISNT collapsing. It's becoming a Chinese province. That's the next critical piece of this puzzle. And if you want to stay ahead of the headlines and understand the hidden economic forces shaping our world, then you need to subscribe to Powerconomy. Hit the like button, subscribe, and tell us in the comments below, which option will Putin choose? Economic collapse or hyperinflation?